So a bit of a different start to Dave's Corner this time. I'm George, the voice behind the camera you sometimes hear in our videos. I'm just going to talk you through the first bit of building this plant because it's fairly straightforward, and I'll leave it to Dave to show you the technical bits. So essentially, to start with, Dave's taken apart some old pallets. This is all waste wood we're using, and we now have two sections. So this section is the bottom half of the planter. This is 16 planks for the outer section, and then 4 supports for each corner. The two longer ones are for the back of the bed, where the taller section will be. This wood is for the additional level, so we've got a pre-made bracket and then some pieces to make the second one. And then on the left is the left and right side of the upper bed. We've also got 2 planks for the front and back, 3 planks for the bottom, the 2 long supports for the back of the bed, and a long thick piece to go down the very back of the whole planter. If that was quite a lot to take in, don't worry, Dave will make it clear as we go along. So we've time-lapsed Dave building the main planter, as this is fairly straightforward, like I say. He's started by lining up the 2 back supports for the first side of the bed. He's then drilling the panels into the supports, alternating them by a few inches each time to provide extra strength. And then he's just drilling the shorter front supports again. The same principle applies. And then finally, using the side panel of the top bed, he's marking up the leading edge with a pencil, ready for building the upper level, and then just checking everything lines up. Like I say, Dave will go through this again with you, and that's it for the main planter. So I'll leave you with Dave now for the fun part.
So we've made the basic planter. At this end we've got the longer length of support, so what we need to do is to fasten in another support at this end. So I've already measured it out, equal distances each side, so I'm just going to fasten this in. One at each end.
Yeah.
And I'll explain why in a minute.
Like we said, this is just waste wood, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all just pallets that's been broken up. That's why we've got all these cutouts. It's where the forklift trucks put the forks in, basically. But for this purpose, it won't make any difference. So I'm just making sure, obviously, these are the same height. They push down onto the base, and that this leading edge is in line with the line I've marked, the distance I've measured. It's just important that you get that leading edge lined up properly.
Yeah.
And what I've done is I've basically used that as a template to get that distance.
Right, okay.
So I've measured from the end of there to the end of there.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do with that now is fasten that on the inside there.
Yeah.
So just get some screws on that.
And that's the piece that's going to hold the
yeah,
box.
It's going to be the outside of the upper bed, if you like.
Yeah. That's the 2 pieces, isn't it? So it's just like
all I've done is obviously cut them to the same length. This bit here is what you're going to fasten the underside onto.
Yeah.
So you've got to have something to fasten it on. So all I've done is just screwed it in, screwed them together like that. What you're trying to do all the time is have the screws taking the weight and providing the support, so it's all sort of the tension's all against itself, if you like. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just don't want the ends overhanging. So that's that. Now what I want to do is to make sure that that is all level and square. Spot on. Again, just make sure that's properly lined up with that corner so everything's square. So that one's in. Before I fasten that one in, I'm going to fasten this one in because I can still move it about and get that all level and square again. Obviously it's so much easier as well with the impact driver. So you've got both ends on now. Just hold me that up. I'll pop that one on. So that's all nice and level. going to lay it on its side.
Yeah.
So then we're going to get these bottom bits on. Thing is, it's going to look quite rustic, but I quite like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can tell it's made out of reclaimed timber.
Yeah.
What I'd perhaps be tempted to do is paint. If you're going to paint it all while it's apart.
Yeah.
Because then you're getting paint into all joints
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
Which will protect it
Yeah,
more and it'll last longer. The other thing as well is try and use outdoor screws, outdoor fixings, so they don't rust. And again, that'll extend its life. Again, I'm just trying to leave a little bit of a gap.
Yeah.
Because once we've lined it with plastic bags, with the empty plastic compost bags, we'll puncture that. Yeah, just so you've got your drainage holes. Yeah. The other thing as well, it'll drain, but it'll drip into your bed below, so it'll actually water the plants below. Yeah. So you can see now that you've got all that space below, and instead of it just being dead space up here, you've now got another section that you can grow another crop in. Yeah. So, for example, under there you could grow carrots, parsnips, whatever you like. But in here, I'd grow salad crops like radish, spring onion, lettuce. Even the small stunted carrots is growing there because you've got enough depth. Yeah, yeah. You don't want anything that wants a lot of root space. No. So the other thing is, with this one, it's not too bad. But if you've done it even longer, you're starting to get stress on this part of your planter. So what you need is another support across. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. Just a basic sort of bracket we can make. So I've marked a line down the centre of the bed. Now it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it wants to be upright and straight, because otherwise it might look a bit odd from the front. So that's that. Now put 3 in, just so that's really solid. Yeah. Because that's going to take your weight. Yeah. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to put 1 in across the top, just there, just to pull it all together. What we've got basically here is just a simple bracket that we're going to fasten onto there, and that's going to support your trough. But to make that, all you need is 3 bits of wood. So we've got the crossbar, the upright, and then that one's just going to sit in there just to give it extra strength.
We cut that diagonally, so it's more.
Yeah, I've just trimmed that so it basically so it'll look neat at the other end.
Right.
Are you getting all that?
Probably.
Now, just to give that more strength,
I'm
just going to tap
that extra one.
Tap this one to it. You've got your 2 brackets to put on either side. Yeah. So that will be buttered up, really nice and tight to your trough. That's lovely. So I'm going to do exactly the same on this side with this bracket. And then just to finish it off, if you feel you need to, you can pop that in there and just fasten those together.
That's the smaller section.
Yeah, and that'll give you a real piece of strength. Yeah. That's it, mate. Done. Job done.
Brilliant job.